𝑯𝒐𝒖𝒔𝒆. Be sure to check on the children.
Hello and welcome to Freaky Fridays with me, your hostess with the mostest, Sky Explains It All. In today's installment of Freaky Fridays, we are taking a look at the gothic horror film titled House of Darkness, which came out in the year 2022, and it starred Kate Bosworth and Justin Long. This story mainly focuses on the two characters, Mina and Hap. The two of them met in a bar, they had a great conversation, and Mina asks Hap for a ride home, and he obliges. When they reach their destination, he is in complete and utter dismay because Miss Ma'am literally lives in a freaking castle. She tells him that her family's castle, and they have estates like this one all across the country. All throughout the night, Mina and Hap's interactions are a bit off balance, and what I mean by that is everything Mina does is done with like an intention to get a certain result, if that makes sense. She comes off as someone who has been around for a long time, like much older than she actually is. The thing with this movie is, I'm pretty sure it's meant to be obvious of what this is. They pull up to a house, it's a castle. It's a full moon outside. She's dressed, Mina, in like this modern, but heavily, you could tell, like Victorian inspired type of wardrobe. Even the way she talks and the way she carries herself, it's like someone from a different time. The home being in her family for like years, and the fact that they have several estates just like that one across the country. Hap is seeing and hearing things. Even if you don't go based off of just the content within the movie, the poster itself, it's an image, a silhouette I should say, of a woman and like something dripping from her mouth. So it's very obvious we as the audience are supposed to know this is a movie about vampires. It's not trying to do a little twisty twist. It's not trying to pop out like it's like about to shock us. Like, we, our audience, are supposed to know this movie is about vampires and that Hap is in trouble. And the thing with this movie is, it's not the horror of just like the actual vampires. It's knowing that Hap has no idea what's going on. So everyone's in on, I guess you could say the joke, but not really the joke. But everyone's in on what's happening but him. His name is Hap Good, and Mina tells him, oh, well, I've known a couple of Hap Goods in my life, and it's a family name from what he's told us that goes back hundreds of years. The fact that this woman said that she's known multiple of people with that name wasn't a red flag for him, which is crazy to me. Mina is so clearly a vampire. Hap is so clearly in danger, but this man is so worried about putting on a facade, thinking about trying to get laid, and it's so frustrating that like he's so thinking, you know, with one part of his body to not see what's actually happening in front of him. Like, it's so irritating watching him. That's what has you on the edge of your seat with this entire movie, is you keep thinking, okay, this is going to be the moment when she's going to pounce. This is going to be the moment it's going to happen. At one point, Mina, she leaves to go get them drinks, and she's gone for quite some time, and you're thinking, oh, once she's gone, something crazy is about to happen. Something crazy is about to happen. Hap is in this room by himself. Oh, it's about to go down. But then she just comes back into the room with the drinks, and everything's fine. Then we're like, oh, okay, so it's not happening then. Again, they're having a conversation. They start to kiss. She bites his lip, and he starts to bleed, and you're like, oh, it is about to go down. She's about to go feral. She's about to lose her mind. She's about to suck up the blood. No, nothing happens. Everything's totally cool. So we are sitting here watching this movie, wondering when this man's number is finally going to be up. And things take another shift throughout the movie because another person shows up, and it's Lucy, and she is Mina's sister. Mina seems a bit perturbed because she tells Hap that this was her night to go out. And Hap, being so short-sighted, it's still not clicking. It's still not clicking what's going on right now. While Mina is going to get more drinks for the three of them, Lucy gives him a tour of the house. And while she's giving him a tour of the house, she tells him, you know, since they all live out here in like the middle of nowhere, to entertain themselves, like different things they do. And one of the activities they do is that they tell ghost stories. Once Mina comes back with the drinks, Mina, Lucy, and Hap all go to the living room and they sit down to have a ghost story time. But they don't tell him a story immediately. Hap's like, well, I want to hear the story. And Mina says, a story for a story. So Hap needs to tell a story and then they'll tell a story. Hap's story starts out pretty innocent enough. It's basically him doing a retelling of how he and Mina met, but then it quickly goes to a pretty raunchy place and he says at the end of the story, and they all F the end. And they're sitting there looking so unamused. Eventually, they go on to tell their story, specifically Lucy. And she tells this story, and I'm gonna look down at my notes so I can get it totally right. Not for word, but just my summary of it. Keep in mind, the story is quite dark. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who lived in the forest with her family, and they were very happy. But men came and one by one ended her family until the little girl was the only one left. The little girl was the one who tended to the animals and to the land because she was all alone and had no one else to rely on, so she had to be self-sufficient to keep herself going. One day, hunters came across the cabin of where the little girl was, and instead of these men offering to embrace her and bring her back to their village, or even telling her where there is a church where she could have some sort of sanctuary, they dragged her into the forest, and one by one, they had their way with her. Disgusting, trifling, I know. So the little girl was left in the woods on the brink of death until a family passing through in the middle of the night found her and they took her in. They began to tend to her. They helped her recover day by day until one day she became stronger than she ever was. So once the girl grew up, her family, her new one, they found those men one by one, picked them off, and tortured them until they ended their lives. And the girl and her two sisters have been doing this for years. Hap asked the question, well, that's it? How does the story end? Mina says something along the lines of, like, who said that it ended? And see, me in my mind, as someone with a lick of sense, first of all, I would have already caught all the cues before we even got to this point. But let's say I was so in my own little world, I didn't see all the signs up until now. After that story, seeing how emotional Lucy got when she was telling it, and her saying that who said it ended, I would know immediately, oh, I need to go. I need to go. Thank you for the hospitality. It's been so nice meeting y'all, because this story is clearly about y'all. But Hap is so dang I don't even know, dumb, but he still doesn't get it. He still thinks they're all just having a good old time hanging out, telling ghost stories. You know what this fool, all he has to say at the end of the story is, well, he goes, well, I'm glad you only have one sister. Like, that's what you took from all of this, from the beginning to the end of the night. This is everything you've taken. Well, I'm just glad you have one sister. Boy, anyway, so after he says that, a woman pops up behind him and scares the daylights out of him. And it's a woman. Her name is Nora. And she is also Mina's sister. So Mina and Lucy are her sisters. So we have Mina, Lucy, and Nora. 3 women. There were 3 sisters in the story. Does he put that together? No. He literally just does not get it. Even one of the sisters says, like, he cannot be this dumb. Like, they break, I guess you could say they kind of like break the 4th wall. And they literally are like, he cannot be this dumb to not know what's happening. Like, it's so obvious. It's still not resonating with him. He's clearly in one reality and they're in another. He says that he's going to leave Hap because he realizes what he thinks is the women like playing with him, toying with him the whole night. Not because, you know, they're playing with their food, but because they're just being like really weird, itchy women. So when he goes to leave and walk out the door is, of course, locked. He tells the women to open the door and they're all pretty much patronizing him. And he threatens them. He's like, if you don't open the door for me, I'm going to throw you against the wall. Like, I'm about to tussle. Like, we're about to go in and be knucking and bucking and ready to fight. They look at him and then all of a sudden the door just slowly opens by itself. And Hap looks at them and he's like, how did you do that? And silence. They don't respond to what he just asked. Hap again, not getting it, which is crazy to me, goes to open the door and walk out. And as he's about to step outside into the moonlight, who just boop, teleports right in front of him is at the front door, even though she was just on the couch. It was Mina. So Mina is now magically all of a sudden at the front door, and she leans in and she takes a chunk out of his neck. There's blood everywhere. Hat falls down to the ground. 3 vampires are chomping down on him like a group of 75-year-old people who are like in a bingo league at a Golden Corral. They're giving that kind of energy. It's a wrap for Hap. He's done. He's over with. So I'm sure you can understand. He clearly did not survive that. That's pretty much the end of House of Darkness. I enjoyed this movie so much. I first watched it in 2022 because I saw it on Hulu. That's where it was streaming. It's still streaming there now. And of course, as always, I'll have everything listed, or everywhere I should say, everywhere listed of where it's streaming. I was drawn to it because I liked the poster art, the promotional art for the movie. And I was like, ooh, this is giving like gothic vampire vibes, which again, meant to be obvious. It's not meant to be a secret. I watched it and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Just because like you're sitting on the edge of your seat wondering when Hap's gonna get the boot. If you were like Hap and you still didn't realize what was going on, the fact that it's Justin Long playing Hap should have been a clear sign, because Justin Long in horror movies, his characters never have a happy ending. If someone can name me a movie, like a horror movie where Justin Long survives, please put it down in the comments below, because I would love to see that. So if you like movies like Crimson Peak or Black Sunday, Mask of Satan, I think that you will thoroughly enjoy this movie. Like I said, it's meant to be obvious, so don't go in watching this movie thinking, oh, it's so obvious. Girl, that's the point. That's the point. It's supposed to be obvious. Everyone is in on what's happening but Hap. I just wanted to say this installment of Freaky Fridays, and pretty much the ones in the foreseeable future, when I specifically talk about movies, I'm going to try to shorten them, because I've noticed that videos that are like under 20 minutes for Freaky Fridays do better than the ones that are like 27 minutes, which are usually the movies that I'm covering. So I'm going to try to keep it under 20 minutes from now on for the Freaky Fridays videos. So I wanted to say that too. That's why this video is probably shorter than the other Freaky Fridays videos where I talk about movies versus like an episode of something. It's going to be all for this installment of Freaky Fridays. If you like this video, like it. If you're enjoying the content I make here, please subscribe. I would very much so love to have you here. And you guys, leave me a comment below. Have you ever seen this movie? And if you did you like it? Do you seem interested in watching it after watching this video? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so very much for watching. And until next time, I have to return some videotapes. Bye, guys.